America's turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks. America's turning 250.
Welcome to The Best of Intentions, a podcast from Intention Films and Media, hosted by writer, director, former film commissioner, and novelist Deborah Markowitz. So join us as we talk about all things creative.
Well, we're happy again to bring you the best of intentions at Governor's Comedy Podcasts. This is Women's History Month, so we're bringing some really cool women to your attention. The thing I love about this is I get to talk to a lot of friends that I work with, and it kind of makes me make the time to do that because it's so easy to get buried under work and projects and whatever. I want to thank you all for joining us because this is just really cool, the people that tap in. I love that. But I'm very, very excited to introduce somebody who's an old friend. And one of the very cool things about her, and I always have to bring this up, is the fact that she helped me get my first writing job. I remember having lunch and telling Donna my job was in jeopardy, as I remember. I think that was part of it. And Donna said to me, "What would you want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to be a writer, but I don't know how to do that." And she goes, "Well, how about other people do it? You can do it." And she introduced me to a team of gentlemen who were running a new magazine, and I ended up becoming their associate editor. And it was a really cool thing, but I want to introduce somebody who is so multi-talented in almost every area of the film industry. But Donna Drake, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here with you once again. I have known you half my life because I moved here when I was like, a while ago. It's like I was on that side of 30 and now I'm, 60. So yeah, I've known you half my life and I've always valued the journey with you. No matter what it's been. And I've enjoyed watching your career grow and flourish and blossom I think you're super talented, and you're also a can-do person. So like anytime I've ever needed something, advice or the number for this or the other thing, or do you know somebody that does that? You're super resourceful. So it's like, it's nice that you take my calls, so it's, I enjoy our friendship as well.
What was really cool is when I met you, you were actually our trophy person for the Long Island International Film Expo, I think our first year.
It was the year that Edie Falco won.
Yeah,
and it was before Edie actually was famous with the
right.
Sopranos and everything. And I remember also that night, the Fortunoff family, because they were one of our first investors.
Yes.
And what a wonderful man he was,
Alan was.
and I became friendly years later with Esther. But I remember those early days of trying to like make friends in our industry, not knowing anybody. But it started, I volunteered to take and answer the phones when we had the phone line that was at Five Towns College.
I didn't even know that.
So I was answering the phone, and then also became the trophy person. I didn't know anybody. I moved from St. Louis. I didn't know a soul. So I would either go to Heckscher Park and bring my children there to meet people, or would try to get involved with, volunteering or acting or doing this, that, or the other thing. But yes, and you needed somebody that all I had to do was like hand out the trophies. I looked good back then. I was able to be a trophy girl back then, but it was fun.
And I remember when we actually, before I left to go start the film commission, I actually worked in Deer Park. And if I remember correctly, you actually worked, even though we didn't know each other, across the street. I don't want to say the name of the company,
Sure.
but you were trying to start your own studio back then, even back then.
Even back then. Yeah, even back then. I think that I've always had I am a Gemini, but I think I've always had this dual personality for a long time of working a full-time job and then having the side hustle. And then eventually I was able to have my side hustle become my full-time thing.
Now you have this really, really impressive studio right now. So it's, I mean, I've been there a couple of times, and hopefully I'm going to be able to use it. But every time I talk to you, it's like, oh, we just got these new microphones that they use in the studio. So we got a new cyc wall. It's the same size as this or that or whatever, and it's been used. I recommended people there. I know Scott Perry shot his film there, Follower. He was very happy with that. And I've sent a couple of other people to you, but it's a woman-owned studio, which is, I think, available for tax credits. And it's a New York State qualifying studio, which,
Correct.
Having been film commissioner, I know that's a really big thing if you have to deal with tax credits and whatnot. But why don't you tell us a little about the studio?
Yeah, we're in the zone, which is nice. And I didn't even know I was in the zone, but it's 30 miles from Columbus Circle. Mm-hmm. And they just make a circle around, and if you're in the zone, then you're in the zone. So the studio is important to me for sentimental reasons, because when I started my career here in Long Island, I worked at WLNY TV in the exact same address of where I'm at. So 270 South Service Road, there's a connection there, right? So it was 1997. I became their promotions coordinator. I worked in that building. I was in that exact same building. Sadly, on the day that 9/11 happened, I was the person that walked into the newsroom to tell everyone, hey, this is what's going on. I have a lot of history, and thanks to a man named Michael Pascucci, who owned WLNY TV. He still owns the building that I now rent as my own studio. Fast forward, so the days back then when I was walking through that building, I had no idea that my career would bring me full circle. But it was 5 years ago during COVID. I had another location that I was filming at, and they said they were going to rent out the space, but I could leave my lights and my cameras and things like there. And I said, I'm not doing that. So I made a call over to the building, and I said, hey, listen, my show's on CBS. Would it be possible for me to rent out the Gridlit studio one day a month? And they're like, well, you could rent the whole thing. I'm like, why? What happened? They're like, Viacom just bought CBS. They already have a location out on the East End. So this studio is like this beautiful gem. It's the real deal. It's got a cyc wall, and it's got the grid, and there's plenty of space, and it's all on one floor, and it's got the dedicated hair and makeup room, and the bathrooms are clean. So it's like a big, gigantic studio that you'd see, except it's small enough that makes us affordable. Mm-hmm. So we can work with lower budgets as well as big, gigantic production budgets. It's just beautiful. And literally when I decided to sign the lease, it's November of 2020. And after I decided to sign my name on this, nobody was taking on big rental agreements. Nobody was doing anything during that year, right? I laid on the floor And I decided that if the on-air light still lit, that was going to be a sign from God that I should do this. So I did. It lit. And I was like, okay. And then I laid literally on the floor of the studio, Deb. I'm looking up at the grid and tears are flowing down my eyes because I don't realize if I did it because of sentimental reasons or if this was going to be a good business decision. It's turned out to be both, right? So now we're here on the plus side of 5 years and I love it. It's like having a grown-up like clubhouse. You know, like when you're a kid,
I
and
love
you have
that.
like somebody builds a clubhouse in their backyard or in their garage or something like that. Drake Media Studios has a clubhouse vibe where people come in and it's like fun. People come in for like an hour or, you know, to have a meeting or whatever. They stay for like 3 or 4. There's snacks, you know, so it's got this energy of its own. And I just happen to be so blessed that my name is on the door, right?
That is so
that's
cool.
the story. I mean, I it's amazing how your life comes, you know, or
Yeah.
when they put my name on a parking sign, you know, because parking at this particular building's at a premium and they assigned me 4 spots. But I remember having in that building like an assigned parking spot. And we share the building with another company that does like overnight shipping. We'll call that. And there used to be in 1997, the parking wars like, oh, you took my spot. So Michael, who owns the building, said, oh, we're not doing that anymore. Now you have a numbered spot. But the day that they actually put like Drake Media Studios visitor parking, like a sign that had my name on it, I also cried with that. I'm sentimental. I'll just say I'm really sentimental. And my journey has been extraordinary. So
Yeah,
that's the
I mean,
studio.
I think not unlike me, very similar to me, as you work with your heart. You know, sometimes you question like, is this the right thing? But you feel that it's the right thing, so you have to go with it. I mean, I do that when I make my movies as well, and I got to give myself a plug. But
No, go right ahead. I was like,
my movie Waitlist, A Lover's Story, just came out on Amazon Prime yesterday. Amazon Prime, Amazon actually. I don't even think it's Prime, but it was 6 weeks early, and it's wait. So now I got to hire a PR person. Now I got to do, you know, and I'm excited about it. But now I have to rush and do all the things I thought I had 6 weeks to prepare to do. But
just put your heart and mind to it, and it's so good. It's so worthy. It's such a great production and a wonderful story. It's the type of story you could watch over and over and over again, and just look for those little nuances. And it was fabulous. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, when I did it, it was supposed to be a short film. We started as a one-day short film, and after we did it, I told John, I said, I want to know what happens to these characters. And I sat down and I wouldn't stop speaking to me. And I just kept writing and writing. And then I told John, you know, I think I wrote a feature film in 7 days. He goes, Debbie, we just filmed on Sunday. It's 4 days. And I, because they wouldn't stop talking to me. And you know, we were deciding how to do it. And then I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, you know what, if I don't at least get some names, then I'm not doing this justice. So I called up some friends, Bobby Clahessy, Tara Westwood, Kim Director, Abigail Hawk, and they were all like, we're in.
It's
Whatever
awesome.
it is, we're in.
Yeah, it turned out great.
And we needed something light and happy. And I said, is this an Academy Award material? No. But it's
be.
the kind of thing when you want to have a guilty little pleasure and you want to sit down and just not think and just enjoy.
It's fabulous.
And it'll be the kind of thing you want to watch when you just want to, you need to tune out all the craziness that's going on out there.
Well, you opened up opportunities for people. And I think that's something on my journey that I enjoy as well. I'm very much a team player. I'm like, oh, everybody come on, let's have a party. And that goes back to when I was in 2nd grade. I had our 5th grade, I had our gym teachers pull out the mats during recess. And I had a talent show that the 5th graders and the 6th graders performed, right? So there's no difference between who you were probably when you were little and who you are now, or who I am. And I also realized something about being a studio owner that we talked about on the phone is that I was being slothy with it. And what do I mean by that? Like, I work all the time and I love what I do, but I wasn't sharing this incredible resource in the way that I should be, right? It was built with the intention to have other people that might not be able to sign their name on the dotted line the ability to use that space, right? So now, let's talk about responsibilities. Like, now you're responsible to your project and you got to get out there and promote it. I feel a deep responsibility now to the studio because I want the people that are the independent filmmakers or the people that need it for a production, but they don't need it for the entire month. They only need it for a few hours. They might only need it for a day. But why can't I give them access to something that's so grandiose and amazing, right?
And it is awesome.
And I'm starting to do that now. So you'll see that I'm actually starting to promote it. I'm having people, work on like one-sheeters, take them to different festivals and say, hey, listen, did you know that there's a studio right in Melville in the zone? These are all the amenities that it has. So they could either bring their own crew or we could crew it for them. And it's joyful. It's fun when people call and say, I need your space for this, that, or the other thing. And I think that's why I enjoy being at the clubhouse because every day it's something different.
Yeah.
Every day. It's exciting.
That's something to create something like that, and the studio existed, but you brought the life to it that it has now.
I gave it CPR, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Yeah. I breathed life into something that would have just sat there or become some sort of warehouse of some sort. I brought, the grid's beautiful.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing for independent filmmakers to look at because we have some great studios out in Nassau County. That's something I'm really proud of, but they're bigger.
Right.
And you can't necessarily afford.
You can't, right, exactly. You might just need to rent the Mercedes for the day. You might not need to buy the Mercedes for the day. So, that's kind of where it's at. It's all good.
Yeah. But I love that. You're right. It's very, very, very circular. Like it was always the clubhouse and the talent show and the whatever. I think I was talking about this last week that when I was younger, my parents would bring their friends over, would bring their kids over, and I would write these little plays in my head. I was okay, so you do this, and you have to do this, then you have to do this, and nothing was written, and I didn't even know what it was being a director and a writer, and I didn't know that or that it was something anybody could actually do or that I could do it, but
you're great at it. It's awesome.
Oh, I was terrified when I first started directing. I had cast and produced for a few other people, and I really want to see what made directors crazy. And I know now because everything is on your shoulders. So I thought I was only going to do it once and never do it again, and now I don't even know.
You're like, I'll do it once. If I like it, maybe I'll do it again. But
I was terrified. What
do they say? Try something once. If you like it, you order it again on the menu or something. But
I was terrified. I had people. The person who. A feature director whose film I had helped with, she was sleeping over because she was going to do wardrobe because she had a wardrobe background. So she was going to do wardrobe for The Last Taxi Driver. And I text her at 3 a.m. and she was awake. And I'm like, if I can't do this, will you do this? And she goes, I will, but you're going to do it. You're going to be fine. And everything in the world could have gone wrong. But like you said, when you said, am I supposed to do this? I remember snowing every day. We got snowed out of our location 3 times. We had cars getting stuck because we had a blizzard. We had 6 different weather patterns. Our makeup person got food poisoning. Our special effects person, one of our zombies, got mugged at knife point. I mean, it was just crazy. Wow. And I remember walking out into the snow. Everybody else is in holding and catering. And I walked outside and I'm like, if you want me to do this, then you got to help me.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And there's nothing wrong with asking the universe for those like little moments or those signs or those, hey, can you help a sister out here? I was like, I told you I rent to a group that sings, Holy Spirit music. And on Thursday nights, they're like in their 80s and 90s. I just feel like that's part of the reason my studio has such a good vibe. And going back to when you said you had to reach out to a friend about the wardrobe question. When I first started the television show, which was now 18 years ago, I was too shy and chicken to do it on my own. So I called my friend Fran Capo. I said, you want to do a TV show with me? Meanwhile, she's crossing like the Bering Strait or whatever, or she's in the Antarctica. I think she's crossing the Drake Passage. And she's like, sure, I'll co-host that with you. Yeah, that sounds great. So she comes in and we started the show. But it was really because I didn't have the confidence to just solo it. I just didn't. And sometimes it's okay to get friends around you to do something until that point where you're ready to launch on your own.
Absolutely. So. And we always end up doing that. I was just having a conversation with somebody about courage the other day, and I was an actor who was just like, well, how do you know? And I said, well, the thing is, you never do know. You just know, you get to a point in your life where there's something you want to do, and you just know you have to do it, and you'll figure out how to do it. You can't gauge the success of it. You can't gauge where the future will take you, but you can gauge, what, I can do this thing, whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And, and when you have that mentality, I don't know if it's going to be any good. I have a couple of films I had my name taken off of, mostly people who hired me who just wouldn't kind of, they had the vision of what they wanted, and you just knew it's like, this isn't going to work.
Right.
And it didn't. But, I'm like,
me
what,
too.
take my name off.
Yeah, me too. Or when I first moved to Long Island and I was working in video projects or whatever, sometimes they have like the adult industry does pretty well here on Long Island. And here I am, this girl from St. Louis, and I'm like all doe-eyed and everything. I was like, and like, even though there was like this medical video that they were doing for like a medical apparatus at the time, I just said, okay, just don't put my name in the credits. He's like, and I don't judge anybody for the way that they make their money, but there are certain projects that I'll be like, okay, no, I'm not comfortable with that, whatever. Have I worked on some projects that have been less than stellar through the years? Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Because sometimes you take those smaller projects, whether it's acting or something like that, because you're trying at the time to build a resume. Remember, like headshots and things like that. I also belong to the Screen Actors Guild. I'm also a SAG actor. I have my SAG card. I love acting, right? But when you're working and doing so many things, it's hard to find the right thing, right? The right project that you could say, oh yeah, I can do that. I have the time to do that. But I think that's fun. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done a lot of different things. And I've enjoyed the journey thus far. And I'm looking forward now to what's still to come. But I still will watch the Oscars and actually feel, or the Emmys, and actually feel the sensation of, you talked about me being I'm bringing it back, flashback to the trophy girl. I still sometimes say to myself, it's like, is that still in my future? Is that something that's still going to happen? And if so, what steps would I need to take now in order to have something like that? Is that even a goal I still want? Right? I don't know. But now I just let the journey unfold as it does. It's fun.
Yeah.
So it's part vision board, right? Because you have vision boards sometimes. Do you still use those?
I've had
Or
them,
do you
but
not even need the board to look at? You just do it on your own. Like,
I
this
just
is
do
your
it on
vision
my
board.
own. Yeah,
Okay.
I do it on my own.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm getting more with the going with the flow of it, and knowing, being unmarried to the goal,
Okay.
but doing what's needed to get to what I have to do, and how it's received is almost not my business. Like, I can do the best job I can do, and I can make sure it looks great. Some people are going to love it. Some people aren't going to love it. But if I know I've done a good job, then I know the majority of people, it's going to be appreciated. It's always getting better. It's always imposter syndrome too. Like, is this really good? Is it suck or is it good? And then and sometimes you look at it and it sucks, and then you look at it, no, it's actually good. But there's so much of that. Can I do better? Because I always want everything to be better than the one before.
Yeah.
And I think what kind of, in some way, maybe hurts me is the fact that I have no brand. Although I've had people tell me they always know a Debbie Markowitz film because of the shots I use or whatever. But I've done horror. I've done.
Oh, you mean you have no genre?
I have no genre.
I was going to say, oh, girl, you got a brand. Like, when somebody says your name, they know, right? They'll be like, oh, I know her, or I want to know her, or I saw something that she did, or yes. So you just mean you don't have a direct genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a genre, right? My talk show is like all good news. I interview celebrities, businesses, nonprofit organizations, right? You'll see me hosting this talk show, right? So that's both a brand and a genre, right? Maybe I'm not, in a pillory. Like, I remember doing a scene with Glenn Andrea, filmmaker here on Long Island. And I was like, I was in a horror movie. And I didn't even watch horror movies at the time, right? So chicken. And I was like in this pillory or whatever, but I watched it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I also feel like I don't have any, at this point in my life, I don't have any goals. I need to start thinking of new ones. I tend to accomplish things faster than I think I'm going to. Like, by the time I was 20, I was like, oh, I'm 20, and I thought I was going to die when I was 20, but I didn't. And then in my 30s, now I'm 40 and 50, 60, and I look back at my body of work and I was like, how in the heck did I get here? Because I used to have goals. It used to matter to me certain things, right? I want to be famous. I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish that. I want to do this. I want to do that. My greatest accomplishment still to this day are my 3 kids.
Oh.
Like, I love my kids. I love being a mom. And I, now that they're grown and they're successful on their own, I miss them. I think I did the right amount of mixture of being a mom and being a career person. But if I had to live it over again, it wouldn't have been like a 50-50 mix. I would have probably been 80% mom. I would have colored more. I would have done painting more. And I would have been like 20% career woman. But I don't know. Like, you just do the best
It's
you can.
impossible
It's
to know.
impossible. It's
And
impossible.
your kids are all doing really well.
My kids are great.
Yeah, so
and they,
you obviously
and they love me and they call me and I enjoy them now as people. But for me, that was the goal is like, if I can leave this world and know that I accomplished being a really great mom, for me, that's the Oscar. That's the Emmy. That's the goal. I just love them. They're like awesome. They're really cool.
Yeah.
But owning a studio is great. Having a TV show now that's nationally syndicated and in 25 countries, all that's great. Having friends is the best. That's the best thing. So don't maybe specifically have a goal that says by the time I'm 75, I need to achieve this. I feel like I've achieved enough. Now it's just a matter of enjoying the journey. Does that make sense?
The journey is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea when you were first telling me about your TV show. And how old is it? Like at least 20 years now, right?
Like 18 years.
It's like 18.
The dream came December 20th of 2008 while I was sleeping. And then I manifested it. We were on the air April 9th of 2009.
Wow. Yeah.
I've
And
been
it's
all
Live
over
It
the
Up.
world.
It's called Live
Well,
It Up, the
yes,
Donna
it's
Drake
both
show.
now. Yeah. So it started out as Live It Up because my husband, Tom, that died, had wrote a song, Life is Only What You Make of It. So Live It Up started as the ability to help people celebrate their it in life, right? That's kind of how the whole premise started. It started because in 2008, the economy was terrible. I wanted to give people hope and inspire them, and they would watch the stories. The mission's still the same. I want people to watch the show and say, well, if that person can do it, I can do it. I can start my own company. I can do this, or the other thing. So it still has that whole Live It Up vibe. It's all about celebrating your it. But then along the way, I met a man named David Santiago, and David Santiago was making my broadcast quality, like designer furniture, the blue tiger stripe sofas that I had a few years back. And he says, they need to call it the Donna Drake show because Donna Drake, that DD just looks so good together and this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, everybody says they're on the Donna Drake show. You need to call it the Donna Drake show. And I was like,
But it does look great.
utter
The logo
ridiculous
is great.
shy attack. And I was like, I still tremble when I say it. So my comfort level is, yes, it's the Donna Drake show, but I put a colon, Live It Up. So I say, you're living it up on the Donna Drake show, or we'll be right back as we live it up with such and such and such and such. So you can feel I could feel my face getting hot and like a little blushy right now. So yes, it's still called Live It Up with Donna Drake, or it's called the Donna Drake show. And I co-brand both of them. I actually have two websites, the Live It Up TV show website and the Donna Drake show website still coexist, and one feeds off the other. So to me, it's still Live It Up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what it is. It's that vibe of when people come in. We interviewed 30 guests last month, and people came in from all over the world. Somebody came in from Norway. Wow. I mean, it's getting to, it also has a life of its own. The studio has a life of its own. The show has a life of its own, and I'm somewhere just enjoying the ride.
And if I've seen correctly, you go to like different film festivals and events and interview people there as well. I've seen that, yes?
Yeah, I've been to Tribeca. I'll be in Tribeca again in June. And I like that because this past Tribeca, I interviewed Steve Buscemi again. And Steve Buscemi is the reason I have my own show, really. Like, it was a conversation I had with both Regis Philbin and Steve Buscemi. And I met him years ago, and Steve said, well, you know why I create my own work, or if you create your own work, you're never going to fire yourself. And I was like, he's right. If I create my own show, I don't fire myself. I'm going to be able to work. And Regis Philbin said the same thing. He goes, well, kid, I can't do his accent. But he was like explaining to me at NATB, which is the national convention that we had. He said, well, you know what I did? He goes, I just put my tape in the back of my truck. And he goes, and like Loretta Lynn did, and you just go from place to place. And he's like, yeah, you could do it. Or when when he interviewed Ted Sarandos from Netflix, and he goes, well, how are you distributing it? And I was like, I'm self-distributing it. At that time, I should have said Netflix needs to carry talk shows. But it's been, it's just been an interesting journey so far.
Now I don't know, you didn't meet Steve Buscemi at the film festival, did you? Because
it's possible. Was it the year that Abe Vigoda was there? Was it year 2? What year did I win the Friend of the Foundation Award? 2002? I don't know. But the show was 2008. That I distinctly remember the exact date and where I was. And I dreamt the whole thing in color. I sold my house. I sold everything I owned, and I funded it. I self-funded the show.
That. Man, she has balls. Pardon my language, but I'm like,
no, because like
that was a move.
It was a move, and sometimes you're called into action, and you have to be unreasonable, right? The same thing. I only own a studio because I made the choice, right or wrong, of being unreasonable with myself. It's like, what if? What if I don't fail? What if I try something? And if I fail, so what? Then I go to do something different. I have less of a fear of failure now. I'm just like, I'm going to try this.
You know, I'm just thinking of you. Maybe you didn't meet him there,
Okay.
but our
I think I did.
first year.
I think I met
Yeah,
Steve
'cause
there.
the first year you were our trophy person, and we talk about beginner's luck. Well, first of all, there wasn't a film festival on every corner.
No, there wasn't.
So we
It
were
was the
first
Long
ones.
Island Film- right,
Yeah,
it was
and
like-
now there literally are. But we got. I think that was the year Steve Buscemi came.
Yeah,
We-
I think
we
you're
got
right.
Steve
I think
Buscemi.
that is where
So-
I think
so
that's where I did meet him.
he came, and he was awesome. And we got.
And funny. Isn't he funny? He's just so funny.
He is a blast. And we had him. We had like Oleg Cassini came.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, and
I
we-
still have. He gave out the candlesticks. I still have my candlesticks. He
don't
gave me a
remember
pair.
that.
He gave me a pair of crystal candlesticks. I still have them.
Wow.
With his signature on the bottom.
I miss those.
Okay. And also Dom Serio from HBO. I mean, you and I could just do this all day long, but there were certain people that just made life more palatable, made things flow. They were decision makers. They're like, sure, I got this or I got that. You know, now you're the decision maker. Now you have people's back.
Yeah,
It's fun to
yeah.
watch, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I do.
You do.
It's the climate itself has changed a lot from when we started sponsorships and whatever. You know, that after 9/11, things changed a lot. After a few other things that happened, things changed a lot. So it's not, at least from my aspect, we're not getting people throwing money at us that like we used to. You know, where I could say, I'm going to get sponsors this week and come back with X amount of money. That's not there anymore. So, or there's so many film festivals that everybody's sharing in what the pot is. So, you know, it's you know,
Women's empowerment. You know, we are celebrating Women's Empowerment Week too, but I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Like there's 5 or 6 different like women's like self-help empowerment days or luncheons that they want me to go to, and I'm like, there's like 10 or 15. How are
Yeah.
you guys getting enough sponsors to do these things, and why are there so many? Right. I'm not putting any of my friends down that are willing to
no.
take it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's harder, I think, when you try to host something and you're trying to get those funding dollars.
Yeah.
So it kind of
yeah, it's
I don't know, it makes it less along the way somehow.
Yeah. It's
you know,
that's
you're not
part
getting
of
a $50,000 check written
yeah, that's not
to sponsor
happening
something anymore. No,
anymore. Not happening
you
anymore.
might get like 2,500 or maybe 5.
Yeah,
Maybe,
maybe,
right?
maybe, or maybe you get a call back, or,
Right,
or
right.
not. But I remember. I mean, we got interviewed. I got interviewed by somebody from the New York Times. I don't know, 20 years ago, and
I hope
she
you
said to
framed
me-
it. Did you
was
frame
after
it?
maybe
Did you
we-
frame it? I would frame that. Did you get it? Did you frame it?
I don't know. I might
Okay,
have it
okay,
somewhere.
okay, cool.
But the reporter had asked me, how are you guys getting bigger? Because I think we at one point we were 10 days at the Long Island International Film Expo. Now we're 5, and we might go down to 3 because it's a lot. But and I remember her saying to me, all these film festivals are going out of business. How are you getting bigger? And I'm like, because none of us get paid. You can't pay us less.
True.
So
You can't pay us less
you
than
can't pay us
nothing.
less. We're
Yeah,
not looking for raises.
you were doing it because you were
So
wanting.
Anne and Henry and me and you know, we really just carried it along all that time. But it changed, and you watch it and you decide, is it still worth it? You know, so it's always.
I would like to see it keep going because
A lot
I
of
just
people would,
yeah.
yeah. A lot
And
of
there
people would.
that does go back to my sentimentalness, right? Because I'm sentimental about it. It's like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
It's got a great logo now that Billy Tucci did. I mean, it's important, and look at how many careers that festival has launched.
It did.
Right. And it still does. And, you know, relationships that you've met there. I think I actually met Kevin Shinnick's dad. And Kevin Shinnick's dad pitched me on a project that Kevin was doing. This goes back to the film festival. I remember distinctly meeting them in the Filmmakers Cafe. Right. So he said to me, oh, he goes, you know, my son's in the industry, wants to be in the industry. Would you mind reaching out to him? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we've become really great friends. Now Kevin Shinnick's done so many things. People could Google him if they don't know who he is because he's amazing.
The things
But
we've done.
I met them there. I met Steve
right.
Buscemi and Kevin Shinnick and people will have their own success stories from what came out of that. So please have it. again. I'll sponsor.
Well,
Okay, I will personally contribute $1,000 to be one of the sponsors. No, seriously, no, give me up. No, seriously, there you go.
you.
Just signed it.
Yay,
You have a
okay.
sponsor. There you go.
We can happen again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually going to be July 8th to the 12th this year.
Okay, count me
and
in.
We're watching the films now. Now, I'm just wondering about some of the really cool things that happened. And the things that were cool then wouldn't happen today. But like before, there was also 5 gazillion distributors. We had Mitchell Bard, who was on our board, who worked for, I want to say Snapper Films, but at the point they were actually distributing, physical media and whatever. And we used to have it at, I don't know, it was one of the mansions or it could have been Chateaubriand, but I specifically sat a couple of our better filmmakers with Mitchell. Whatever, Mitchell ended up picking up, one of the projects, which then got distribution.
Or Mark Jacobson came to the table, like he's an attorney and he was an entertainment attorney, so he's been helpful to people. I don't know, you've done good. I think you need to keep it going.
Yeah, but it's been cool. I had like really 2 cool things just happen to us when I did that women in entertainment panel at Five Towns College, and I walk in. The first thing is this one gentleman comes up to me and goes, my name is so-and-so, and I'm like, okay. And he's got a beard and whatever. He goes, 20 years ago, he said, I was your intern. He said, I was only there for a couple of weeks. You got me in a Martin Scorsese film, for Al Pacino film, and he said, so you got me in that, and then I came back to the office and you handed me a fax and said, I think this is for you. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember this. So I remember he was the next office to me, and I got this fax. I'm reading it, and I'm like, Michael? And he comes in, I'm like, I think this is exactly what you do. And he got that job running a public access station, and he had it for 15 years until he moved on and did other things. He said, but you made my career. And I'm like, I did something good. I mean, when you hear that, and then as we're getting ready to leave, he comes over again, and another person comes over, and I looked, I'm like, Andre. And he goes, that's me. He goes, I was your intern too. They worked together and didn't know that they both had worked with me. And John has that happen all the time where students out of nowhere will call him up or go, you changed the trajectory of my career. You did this, you did that. And that is, it kind of makes you feel like no matter what else happens, that you've done something really cool that's helped people. And that kind of, Well,
it happened to me today when I was like, I actually was like heating my curling iron. I should make sure that I unplugged it at the studio. But anyway, I was like, I'll just put a couple curls in, and I'm heading out the door. And I said to somebody, I said, I'm heading out. I'm going to be on Deborah Markowitz's show. And they're like, oh, we know Deborah Markowitz, and we also know her husband, our partner, John. And because John was my teacher. And I was like, John was your teacher at 5 Dolls? You just don't know, right? So that happened to me just now. And they were saying kudos to both of you guys. So it was kind of really interesting.
Well. And I don't know if I've said this on there, but I have to say, since John's there, John is my business partner. For those people who don't know, husband, business partner, man of
Talented.
many trades.
Talented, cool.
And when I worked for the county, we had just started getting the studios up and running. It was Grumman Studios and Gold Coast Studios. And for whatever reason, we started having a problem with one of the long-time sets because the agency said that, well, you have to have all this fire code and all this other stuff. I'm like, they're temporary structures. They're whatever. And I'm calling the governor's office. And nobody has any proof that this is true.
Right.
And I go home, and John and I were not, I don't think we were living together yet. I'm not sure. But I called him up. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do because I know what this is. They know what this is. Everybody knows what this is, and nobody can find the documentation. John's like, I can because I wrote it. And he was able to pull up the code that he wrote for, where did you write it from?
Okay.
Just,
you want to go into this? This was my master's thesis at Yale.
His master's thesis at Yale, he wrote this code for...
I did a whole treatise on all the codes that are involved with small theater production.
All the code that was involved in small theater production.
Electrical, fire control, building codes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he had that. And that saved the studios because nobody could freaking find us. And then I sent it to the governor's office, and I sent it to the mayor's office.
There
I
you
sent
go.
it to everybody's office.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Mission accomplished. But, who would have thought of that? And I'm looking at him like, is he pulling my leg? It's like, no, he actually really did it. But, so the things you do along the way, you don't realize how much it impacts everybody around you, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Good or bad, but hopefully it's good.
You tried. You just do your best, know. And when you make a mistake, you just say you're sorry. I mean, like I never intentionally try to hurt anybody's feelings. I know I am sensitive and I take things personally, but you just do the best you can with what you've got on any given day, and you make it work. you know, and you give when you can give. Like we recently had an independent film done really well. It was called The Bridal Night. And she came in, she had a very low budget, you know, and she wanted the kitchen to be green and the kitchen was gray. And I said, I'm going to get the green kitchen for you. She says, well, how are you going to do that? So I did. I went and found like the contact paper that's the low tack. I measured everything myself.
Wow.
She walked in and she had a green kitchen, right? Because sometimes you have to give in a way that you can contribute, whatever it is, your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever, right? And now when I watched it and I see her senior thesis for NYU that she did, it's a good film. And I just smile. I see that green kitchen and I was like, made her dream come true. It's easy. If you can do something, you should do it.
Yeah.
You know, if it's in my power, I will.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes the things you can do change. There's a lot of things I've had to stop doing because it's just not possible.
Okay.
You know, with my schedule and, you know, but you try. You know, nothing makes me happier than seeing somebody who I've worked with succeed. You know, to me that's awesome. There's one film. I don't watch the films anymore for the Long Island International Film Expo. I just don't have the time.
Sure.
But if I know the people who submitted them, I will try and watch, you know, especially if it's a short film, I'll try and watch it. And I mean, if I can help, you know, if people are fighting over should we, shouldn't we, maybe I can be a deciding voice. And that's happened. And even people I don't know, they'll call me and go, we can't decide on this. What do you think? And then I'll be the
I'll always say
deciding vote.
yes because the tie always goes to the runner.
Yeah.
I'll always be like, yeah, okay, yeah, put him in. What? If you don't know, then that means a
It
yes.
takes so many films,
I know,
so that's
I know.
hard. So I saw this one film. I don't think I should probably. I want to mention it, but I don't know if I should. But I saw it, and it was so gorgeous.
Okay.
And I've worked with I want to mention the DP. The DP is Mark Ryu, who did my first 3 films. He met his wife on the set of my first film.
Nice.
Now she's a producer at
Talk about changing
ABC.
lives.
Yeah, she's now a producer at ABC, I believe, and
Weddings.
he's shooting, you know, really cool commercials and all kinds of things. But you know, he did my first 3 films, and we had started a series 9 years ago, I think, called Couple of Guys. And we never finished it because we were raising money, shooting an episode, raising money, but it's going on like 8-9 years now. So I finally made the decision that we were going to edit what we had and just shoot another 6 more days, 5-6 more days, and do it as a feature. And it's the only way it's going to get done. It'll be way cheaper than doing another 6 episodes. You know, it still costs, but, you know, a little more reasonable. And since we started with Mark is going to finish it. We made him
Wonderful.
a co-producer.
So you were saying he shot something else that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
And
and
he's
then-
been shooting stuff
right.
all along, but I was so happy to see that film because
Oh,
I know,
good. Okay.
I know he's finishing this film, and he's just so freaking talented. So, you know, we're going to take him along for that. But I love when people, you really see that they, you know,
Of
they're
course.
doing well in their careers. And
I'm actually a professional cheerleader. When people ask me what it is that I do, and I tell them that I cheer for, you know, people and brands and causes. So like my television show is really me being like that cheerleader, right? And I just get a chance to do it over and over and over again. But I would say if somebody said to me, you know, well, what is your function in life? I would say 2 things. I would say that I paint with people. Like I love seeing somebody do something, someone else doing something and connecting them and then standing back and then watching that connection.
Yeah.
I also love to cheer on other people's successes. Even if I've had, I mean, you're so kind to mention that I helped you start writing, but like, even if you've just been like a tiny voice, you know, and giving somebody just a little bit of hope, a little bit more hope than they had the day before, I feel like that is your human responsibility to do. Right. And so I'm a professional cheerleader. That's what I just like. I put down my pom-poms, but I do it with my voice and my energy.
yeah, I do love that. And sometimes it is somebody just saying that one that makes all the difference. I went through this kind of crisis of confidence about, I don't know, 10 years ago, I can't remember. When I write something, I will usually, there's 3 or 4 people. If I make a film, there's 3 or 4 people who I really trust their artistic sensitivities, and I trust them to be kindly honest, you know, with feedback. And one had given me some.
Wait a second. I like that kindly, the adjective in front of it. Be kindly, be gentle with me because I don't want to be broken. But like, give me your advise.
But be honest.
But
yeah.
wrap it up in a nice, like, you know, delicious wrap.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so and they are, and they will be honest, and not going to say, because nothing is almost more annoying than somebody saying it's great, it's wonderful. You know, like that's not
Show me
helpful.
where the baby's
Yeah.
ugly.
But
Yeah.
I also want to know that the person giving me the advice knows what they're talking about. So
Okay.
I just went through this thing of saying I am never going to be as good writer as this guy. Why am I even doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this, you know. And I just got really depressed for a bunch of months, and then it just occurred to me one day. Well, he said to me, he said, "Don't ever downplay your talent."
Good.
And then it came to me where I realized that even though technically I do think he's actually a better writer in most respects, but he can't write what comes from my heart. Only I can do that. You know, and there's nothing like showing a movie somewhere. I'm going to say Leaving, because it was a very spiritual film. It had a very big message, and I had people come up to me and go, "Oh my God, I lost my mother, and this meant this to me, and that mean that to me." And same thing with The Waiting Room, where I've had people. Those films, people can love the other films, but the ones that really touch the journey somebody's going through,
Sure.
you know, and you realize, all right, there's a reason that I do this,
Right.
you know. Besides it's fun, besides it's the fact that I love doing it, it's if it touches other people, it just makes such a difference.
Yeah, your voice matters.
Yeah.
Your voice
Yeah.
and the way that you're telling the story matters because there's somebody out there that is waiting to hear it or see it.
Yeah, and so that's why I always say this film is for the people who need to see it. If it can be 5 people, but those people need to
Absolutely.
see this film or need to read this book.
Speaking of that, I was an actor. Well, I'm still an actor, but I did something. It used to be called Authors Playhouse in Bayshore, and it was a horribly windy, terrible storm, and people still came to the theater, and we all looked at each other. There was like probably an ensemble of 8, and we looked at each other and we're like, you know what, the show goes on, because if there was one person that bought a ticket and they showed up in that audience, right, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
And we killed. It was great. Big round of applause to a hand. There might have been 4 people there that night, but we still went on.
Yeah.
So
And you do it for the love of it too. You
Yeah,
know, you
it was
have
really
to love
cool.
doing it, or why. You know, it's if you're doing it. Somebody posted something on social media about, would you rather win an Academy Award or be able to make any movie you want to do? And I'm like, well, they both kind of go hand in hand.
Well, would you rather win an Academy Award or have your eye poked out? Remember they said that? Like,
All right, never
there was all
mind.
this. There was all this. Remember growing up, and they always have the joke. Would you rather? And like one choice was clearly not a choice anybody would choose, right?
I kind of, you know, I mean, I knew you used to have your email was Emmy Gal.
It still is. I still own Emmy Gal at AOL. I just don't go to that box anymore, but I still keep it. And I don't actually enter the local Emmys. We would qualify, but at this point, I don't
not
enter
about
anything
that.
anymore. No, I've only entered the Tullys once. We tend not to put any of our work into any of the festivals or awards, you know. But we did the one Tully because the girl had lost her kitchen in Sandy, and I did it in conjunction with getting her like a toaster oven because she was making empanadas so that she could buy and get enough money so she could go to a private school, because the kids, after she lost her home in Sandy, her kitchen, were making fun of her because she had gained a lot of weight because she was eating fast food for lunch. It was this whole story, right? Or whatever. And I decided, I was like, no, we're going to put a stop to that. So I did a segment on my show and was able to get her a toaster oven so she could have her empanada business. P.S. She had once been a teen on one of those teen cooking shows. She had been on television before and stuff like that. Sweet girl. But that's really the only time I've entered stuff. I think about entering. I judge the local Emmy Awards and things like that. But then there's also the Fair Media Council Awards. Jackie does such a good job with her things, and film festivals. I just tend not to enter. I tend to like just quietly do my thing and.
Yeah, we tend to go to, we have like a couple of handfuls of film festivals that we really like. And I'll enter a new one or two every year, maybe.
But you're winning things, and then you got all those like cute little leaves around the names of your stuff.
Yeah.
Official winner of this or that.
Yeah, but
Wait,
that's
I hear Tony Walker over there laughing at me.
I love-
but you know what I'm talking about? What are those called? They're like the Caesar Laurels or something. John would know. John, what are those things called? Those
Laurels.
Laurels? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. That's our social life.
I don't have any laurels around my name yet, so.
That's our social life. We go to film festivals and we talk to people and we hang out. And then we have ones that just are really great to go to and are a lot of fun. We spend a lot of time in Texas and Pennsylvania and whatever. It's like it's a great crew, and you're going to see a lot of people that you don't really get to hang out with.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, I have won like the Goddess Artemis Award, and I have won, of course, the Friend of Foundation Award, and I've won a few different things
went
like
to
the British
Greece and won
Airways
something.
face to face. You know, I have won some things. It's just been a while since I've You know, the first thing that I won was North County Junior Miss in high school. It was a beauty and talent competition thing, and I was so excited. And I had like this medal, and it said, you know, America's Junior Miss on it on a blue ribbon. And I think my mom, to celebrate, we went out to like White Castle or something that night, and it was just like, and I wore my medal. I was like, I mean, like I thought who I thought I was back then, but there have been times in my life where I have had the, you know, the little leaves around my names, but it's exciting when I get to celebrate other people that have, you know.
Yeah,
I'll go home tonight and somebody's going to make like this little, I already know, it's going to make a graphic. They're going to email it to me and be like, here's your name with like the little leaves around it. I'll be like, thanks.
I mean, it's cool that it's one thing that's helpful is, first of all, you want the cast and the crew to get recognized.
Of course you do.
Oh my God, when the film Brimstone that John starred in, that he won acting awards, but we got into the Golden Door Film Festival of New Jersey, and John was nominated along with Lucas Hassel and Sal Rendino and Lilo Brancato and all these other people. And when he won for best, I just jumped up like, yay! And everybody just looked at me. I'm like,
I guess she's personally connected to that one.
I know, but
that award's going home on their mantle tonight, you know?
And then we went to New Jersey Web Fest, and I mean, I can't even. Then that night was insane because John had won a couple of times. I'd won for this one film, and Travis hadn't won. And we wanted him to win so bad. So if we don't win anything else, please let Travis win. I mean, he certainly deserves it, but there's a lot of
I hear you.
competition.
It's just kind of nice.
Yeah. So we're sitting at the table, and all of a sudden, when it got to Best Actor, they had Travis, and I'm like, yeah! He was sitting next to me. I scared the crap out of him. But so we were so excited. But then John won for Best Supporting Actor, and then the film won, and then the editor won, Rob Riley, and then we won at the end of the night. It's like we kept winning awards for this film. I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And then the very last thing was they give a best of the fest of everything, and we won that too. And it's like,
it is nice, and it's a good calling card. It gives you a certain amount of cred, street cred, so that when you go to do another project, people are like, well, okay, well, she was good enough to get this, right? It's like kind of early days when I would interview some celebrities, you know, and they'd be like, oh, well, like Mike Tyson was on her show. Okay, cool. Well, then she's okay for my client to have on her show.
Yeah.
It's like some of those awards I think are important, you know, and it's a nice night out, like you said, and it's kind of, it's good.
But
It's good to have them.
I was really excited. I think I get almost more excited when somebody else wins on it because I know how hard, you know, how hard they worked, and you know, especially if it's like one of their first wins. You know, I really want to see, like, we can't wait till Julia wins something, but I think her biggest role, Julia Weiner, will be From the Embers, the feature we just did. 'Cause
Nice.
She has small parts in the other ones, but it's her movie. You know,
Lovely.
Her and Travis. So we're
Oh,
we're
well, I will
hoping-
be rooting for. I will
Yeah,
be
we're
eating my
hoping.
popcorn and
especially
cheering
if
you
you're the
on.
first win ever. It just feels great.
Of course, absolutely.
So, I totally love all that stuff.
Do you want? There's some questions. Do you?
We got
Oh,
questions.
oh, does that mean we
sure.
have to put our headset on?
No.
Oh,
No,
you're
it's
going to
right
read
there.
it to us?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll read it. So one person's asking, what was your biggest challenge with building your own studio?
Okay.
And then there's another question, what advice would you give to young women entering media today?
Okay, the first question: the biggest challenge that I still face with the studio.
No, I think
Or-
as you were building it, I think
as
the
I was
biggest
building
challenge-
it,
Yes.
my biggest challenge when I was building it was something that happened that was funny. I had the set already designed, and it was at a different studio. And when we tried to move the walls into the studio I have now, it was 2 inches like too tall to get in the double door, and we had to take a team of like 30 people and kind of go at it at this like, you know, angle, like this angle to get the set because the walls were already built. So I know that's probably not the answer they were looking for, but seriously, that was a really big challenge. And not only that, the guy that was the carpenter that was supposed to come, who had built the set to help build the walls, I did not know this, but he had a horrible accident in construction that day, so he wasn't returning my calls. So I literally could not leave these sets out in the street, in the parking lot. I called old neighbors that lived with me when I lived up on Turtle Cove Lane, and I knew he was in construction, and they actually came to my rescue. I mean, it was kind of like the story of It's a Wonderful Life. And the studio's been like that, you know, and I started the studio without a lot of money. And there was a person named Hugh Daly who knew that he was passing. I didn't know he was passing. He had a studio. And there was one day he says, "Kid, bring a truck." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Kid, bring a truck." He took lights off of his grid. And I have about 20 to, I'm going to get to it.
Wow.
I have about 20 or 30 lights on my grid. And so when you're starting something like that, you really do need, you cannot build anything by yourself, right? And it's still to this day, like I need people. I have people, you know, and I bring in people. And that's what ends up happening, you know, and I'm short, like I'm 5'1.5" on a good day.
Same.
Yeah. And so there's sometimes like just today, there was somebody that came in the studio and I said, oh, you see that piece of molding? And like, it's like cricket. The person just walked right over there, went pop. And I was like, it's ridiculous. Right. But I think the hardest challenge is just the physicality of it all, you know, to make sure that you have the right equipment, to make sure that it's clean, that it's proper, that it's comfortable, that you're providing the services. So I think that the biggest challenges for me are getting the dying thing built, right? And now it's built and it's beautiful. And knowing people you could call when you need, like my audio booth, right? It wasn't as soundproof as it needed to be. My friend George came over and he put some sound blankets up and it works. I think the biggest challenge is to remember that Rome was not built in a day. And it's okay to grow, right? It's good enough. It's professional. It's commercially acceptable. And to let it be at that. You know, like my psych wall is a psych wall, but it doesn't have that little scoop on the bottom. When I can afford to get the scoop on the bottom, I get the scoop on the bottom. So that's what I would say is the physicalness of building something from scratch when you don't have millions of dollars, right? How can you build $1 million studio, but do it with a team of people around you that care enough to like help you get it there? And then what advice would I give somebody that wants to get into the business?
Into media.
Into media. Give me a call. I mean, I don't care. You can be anywhere in the world and I'm happy to open up my Rolodex. Not Rolodex, it's my LinkedIn. I just dated myself in a big, big way. But yeah, if you see somebody on my LinkedIn you want to know, I will make the call. If I have a per diem job that you could do at the studio, if you got any talent whatsoever, I will give you a start.
Are there any others?
Wait, I hear my phone ringing. Wait. Hello? Yes, this is Donna Drake. Can I help you? No.
And there they are.
Answering
Yeah,
calls.
I think it's a big part, like we were saying, is building your community for something like a studio, because you can't do it on your own. It's the same with making a movie. You want the best people, but I really like to go to people that I've worked with before, I know they're great, or somebody has personally referred, so that I know, you know, that there's a real good
There's
chance.
safety in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to let you down. There's a loyalty factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also try to answer all my own emails personally when I can't. Like, I have people, but like our Facebook posts for the most part are me, because your voice matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one time I hired a company to do my social media, and that was like ridiculous, because then I got phone calls and they're like, oh, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know why. And they're like, because on your Facebook it said that, you know, if you're going through a down day and you got to do this or the other thing. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, sorry, it wasn't me. And then I said, okay, now I know, like something that goes out that has my name on it or has to be a reflection of who I am. It's either me or somebody ran that through by me, and I said, oh yeah, that looks good, let's do that.
I think things sometimes are too multifaceted too, because I'd love to have somebody go through the 6,000 emails I have in this one and the 1,200 I have in this one.
Oh yeah.
But then I know that each one needs a certain, you know, something that I would have to explain, so I might as well just do it myself. But yeah, I need that desperately.
My TikTok's not me. I have a nice intern. Her name is Julia. She goes to Hofstra, and she says, you don't have a TikTok. Can I do a TikTok? I was like, okay, sure. So she'll say, oh, can you do this or the other thing? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I'm willing to like take the challenge, you know, throw water over my head or whatever it is, or can you look this way, or can you dance this move? And she goes, oh, you're really good at this. I'm like, if you ask me to do it, I'll do it. I can't be the one that's actually putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a book I think's had a TikTok for dummies. I don't have time to read
Right.
it.
Oh, speaking of books, I am doing a book, like a real book. Like I've had chapters in 2. I'm going to be a 3rd right now, but I already have a publisher, and it's going to be called Live It Up Among the Stars. And I'm taking 100 of my top celebrity interviews through the years and doing like a little synopsis. And then I'm infusing it with some of my like Live It Up tips. I cannot wait for this to happen. It's happening.
awesome.
It's actually happening. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So we have, 3 minutes?
Yeah,
Should we do the?
Okay.
Should we sing? What do we want to
sing?
sing?
You can sing. My voice is awful. Although I
Really?
would say, I watch. My grandson is living with us right now, and he is madly in love and addicted to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh yeah. Well,
So-
they were the big winners last night.
Yeah. So I was actually kind of singing some of the stuff was so out of my range, and he loves it. You know,
Oh,
'cause he
that's so
doesn't know. All he knows is wait. She knows the words.
Well, they have the figures now. Did you know that? Because I'm also producing a show called Toys of Our Lives, which is hosted by Matt Nuccio, and Mattel let us go in to Toy Fair. And so that half hour just aired this past Saturday. So if you get a chance, it's not just my own TV show. I produce other shows. We have commercials that we produce in the studio. We've done stuff for Novartis. We did 100 commercials for Walmart, for Capelli brands. We've had lots of films that have happened in the space. It's fun. You should just come and hang out. It's actually pretty fun. We have snacks. We don't have Anne and Henry's delicious popcorn though at the Malvern Cinema or Belmore, right?
Yeah,
Belmore
the popcorn machine.
Yeah, we need that. We need a popcorn machine.
They do have great pop. That's one of the first things I just get a big bag of popcorn. It like stays there on the table
it's
during
so
the film
good.
festival.
So good. That and Twizzlers. Like I'll do like the sweet and salty. You know, that's kind of my vibe when I go to the movies. I haven't been to the movies, but now I have a whole bunch of new things I want to go take a look at. I loved seeing you. I feel like we didn't have pizza or anything, but you know, it was just like we were like eating lunch together. It was fun. And Tony Walker's over there. You know, Tony Walker. Big shout out to you.
Been a fan of Donna's for years.
Yay.
Years.
Same thing right back at you.
Right back at you, pal.
Any other questions from the audience? We'll let
No, that
Deb
was
answer one. That was it. Okay. And that's our time. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
Gray
one thing
skies are
I
gonna
love doing this is I
clear
get to
up.
sit down and talk to people that I wouldn't really have the time to because life is so crazy and we're all so busy. So this kind of makes me do that. And then we can give some wonderful information to our audience, and that's always awesome. So
I
you know,
appreciate it. I'm a little, as I told you, I'm a little shy. I'm so much more comfortable like holding the microphone or having the person to my right. So thank you for asking me. And I'm really glad I said yes. I had fun. It's really fun.
Okay, so I want to thank Donna Drake for joining us here today, and I want to thank you all for watching this happening, and Tony, of course, the man, you know, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, and John always nearby in case we ever have any questions. But I thank you so much for joining us here today, and we look forward to seeing you next on the Best of Intentions podcast. Thank you.
Yay!